When it comes to keeping you on the edge of your seat, author Craig Johnson has a knack for doing just that with his Walt Longmire mysteries. And Craig recently released his 11th novel in the New York Best Times selling series. He's back with us to share his insight into this. This is a much anticipated book. Tell us about this plot.
Well, it's a little bit different from a lot of the other books, but I try and do something different with each one. And this one, it stemmed from a number of different stories. Generally, it's newspaper articles, but also there were some stories about over in Campbell County, in Wyoming, There was actually, you're going to get a laugh out of this, but it was actually the strip club that was on the edges of the county were actually owned by the brother of the sheriff of the county. And I started hearing about that, and some of the stories that I heard were absolutely hilarious. One was the fact that they would always make a point of raiding the strip club periodically, and when they did, and they brought the girls to the jail the girls would pay their fines with ones. And one of the funniest stories I heard was that the little ladies in the courthouse would put on plastic gloves to count the ones for the fines So not a story that you hear all the time So
you're stripping in the wrong county.
Yeah, But in this particular book, there's a sheriff's investigator who commits suicide. No one can figure out why, because he's a real kind of straight arrow by the book kind of guy. And it's a little bit of a dark book, but there's a lot of humor in it too.
And of course, there's a show based on your series. So just something
on
one of the highest rated show ever on A&E.
It's the highest rated scripted drama in A&E's network history. It's actually showing in, I think, about 200 different countries around the world.
And starting its third season.
It is starting its third season on Monday, June 2nd, as a matter of fact.
And you said what was going on in Times Square?
There's actually a big sign that has, the front cover of the book. That has Walt, walking into the cover of the book But yeah, and the books are on sale all over the world I think we're on the bestsellers list in France right now, which is really kind of nice because for a guy from a town of 25 in northern Wyoming, my street cred went way up whenever I was able to bring my wife to Paris, twice a year.
Yesterday we had the author of Bone Collector on the show, and we were kind of talking about when his book was turned into a movie, kind of the feeling he had. I asked him, did he have any role in the casting? Watching your books come to life on screen, could you ever have anticipated it? Do you have any feelings about the cast, or was there anything you'd change?
Not particularly. My experiences have been, a lot different from everybody else's. They made me a creative consultant. I actually read the scripts. I got to be really good friends, with the cast members to the point where they actually did come up for Longmire Days in Buffalo, Wyoming, this little town of 4,000 people, and they have the whole cast of Longmire shows up. It's happening again this summer on, I think it's July 18th, 19th, and 20th. But the whole cast comes up, and I have to laugh because people will ask, they'll say, what's the weirdest thing that's happened, since this has happened? And I got to tell you, we discovered that the ranch where they were staying, they didn't have television, and so my wife invited them all over to our house to watch their television show. And if people ask, what's the strangest thing? The strangest thing that's ever happened to me is to have the actors who play the roles in the TV show based off the characters in your books, in your home, watching their TV show, and then critiquing each other as they watch it. Because it's not like they just sit there and watch.
So
they tease each other while they're doing it. And Bailey Chase, who plays Branch Connolly, was standing there, with Robert Taylor, the one that plays Walt. And I was kind of poking some fun at him and made some remarks along the lines of, you really weren't very good in that scene. And I remember Robert, all he ever did was just turn his head a little bit and go, I won the election, didn't I? That's all he said.
I love that you are drawing from Wyoming. We talked about this. I have a connection there. I've lived there for many, many years. As a matter of fact, my first job on television was there doing the news. The first story I reported was a man killed another man with a pitchfork. I'm like, you can't make this stuff up. It only happens in
And people
Wyoming.
ask me where I get the ideas for my books.
Right.
No, it's wonderful. That's the great thing about Wyoming. It's a lot like Texas in the sense that, you're always going to find stories because there are always going to be people who have stories there. And the difficulty, of course, is that we only have 500,000 people in the whole state of Wyoming.
Right.
So inevitably, if I put somebody in my books that's from the northeast corner of the the state, I'll do a library event in the southwest corner of the state, and somebody will come up to me and go, "Is that so and so that's in your third book?" And I have to say, I can neither confirm nor deny that maybe the person that you just mentioned. So.
That's awesome. Stuff. It's great having you and getting to know you. And I told you I'm going to dive into this series. I'm probably going to binge watch the whole thing in 3 days. And
that seems to be the pattern. People either binge watch or binge read.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with either one.
I think maybe I'll just do both. Craig Johnson will be signing his latest book Any Other Name tonight at Barnes & Noble in Lincoln Park starting at 7 p.m. and that's in Dallas off of Northwest Highway. And don't forget, the TV series Longmire returns for its 3rd season on June 2nd on A&E. All right, up next on the broadcast, how dogs can teach kids courage, self-worth, and integrity. That's right, they sure can. We'll be right back.